Hi guys, Samantha from Jessama Tutorials here, and I'm going to show you today how to create these earrings. Now these aren't finished, these are clay ones that I've been playing around with, but this is basically what we're going to be creating today. So the first thing you're going to need is some black polymer clay, and I have some black sitting over here. That's the first thing you're going to need. Next, you're going to take another piece of plain printing paper and just give this a burnish. And now what we're doing is we're essentially smoothing out both sides of the clay, because you've got the paper on the other side, and so our backing is going to be nice and smooth and we won't have to do double bakes or anything like that. So smooth that side, then turn over and just smooth the other side. Okay, there we go. Then I'm going to be using my Bora Bora cutter set. You can use any cutters you want. Here, let me just bring these over. See, here's my set. They're very well used. See all of them there. So I'm choosing my middle size for today. All I'm going to do, and actually, no, let me choose my largest size first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that, position it onto the clay, like so. Press, not too hard, you're just pressing it so that you get an indentation, like so. I might want to just indent that one just a touch more. There we go. So that while we're applying the mica powder, we know where to put the mica powder and we don't use any of the other clay that we have around there. So you could choose any mica powders you want. I'm going to be using this really nice turquoisey blue, purple, kind of a sapphire blue, and then this kind of black rose colour. But any colours you want will work. You're also going to need some silver, but that will get used later on, so just have that off to the side. For now we're going to be using these colours. Okay, as I said, any colours you have will work. There we go, so I've just opened those up. And then you're going to want a nice fluffy brush. And just take it and dab your colour on, like so. And try to mirror it on the other one. Doesn't have to be an exact mirror, but if you can get it somewhat similar, that would be good. There we go. And just continue popping the colours on as you like. And then what I will do after I've finished with that is I will tap it all down and smooth off with my finger. But for now I'm just going to apply the colours. There we go. Now you can't see it very well from the angle that you are looking at. If I twist it around, you should be able to see it a little bit. There you go. So now just take your finger and just rub. And this will just smooth out the mica powders, so that you have a nice burnished surface where all of the colours just kind of blend together. So there you go. Okay, now close up your mica powder pots, because the last thing you want to do is accidentally jog them while you're creating the next few steps. So just close them up and put them off to the side. Okay, so for the next step you're going to want to have some sort of a stencil. I'm using this quite nice star stencil where it's got a bunch of different patterns on it. And let's see, which one am I going to use? I'm going to use this one here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to put it on so that it fits on this. And this is where the indentation is really nice, because you should be able to see that through the stencil. So that I can see that it's going to sit nicely against my clay. I want to just move it over just a touch this way and smooth it down. Give it a check. Looks good. Take a piece of paper, burnish, there we go. Then you want to take a wet wipe and just scrub the surface. And if you have some isopropyl alcohol, that also helps remove it, but you don't necessarily need it. Okay, and that will remove the mica powder. Now you can stop at this point and leave it as it is. That's what I did over here. Let me just bring that over. So I did here with these black stars. I just rubbed off the mica powder and then lifted the stencil, and that's what I had. But if you want something a little bit more interesting, you can always add a different type of mica powder. Now you might be wondering, why didn't I just add the mica powder over this without rubbing off the mica powder through, before I rubbed off. The reason for that is because the silver mica powder won't stick very well if there's already pre-existing mica powder on the surface of the clay. So that's why I rub it off. So I've just got some silver off to the side here. Just going to take that. Brush that on. Just make sure you get a nice even cover, and then I actually use my finger to help smooth that in. And just burnish that on, like so. Okay. Then lift that up, and you now have a nice pretty line of stars. Then I'm going to take this and I'm just going to pop it over those indentations. Let me just find that right spot. Okay. Press down firmly on all sides, and then what I like to do is I like to just lift it off the paper like so, and that means it lifts up the cutter. The cutter lifts up the clay cleanly. And so now we have our first little earring. Pop that off to the side, and I'm going to repeat the same process on this side. Oh, just before I start, I just wanted to point something out. With this one, we had the stencil sitting like that. Now we won't be able to do it the same way on this side, so if you want a mirror image, flip the stencil around and then lay it down. So make sure to wipe the side where you had the mica powder on before you do that. So just wanted to point that out quickly. So that's basically all you would have to do. So now I would recommend getting a nice plain piece of printing paper, like so. And this is what we're going to bake it on. So let me just bring those two over. And you'll be able to see how much nicer this looks once we have baked it, and I can twist it around without it flopping around in my hands. I'm just busy smoothing off the sides there because they were a little bit ragged, but that's very easy to fix once it comes out of the oven. There we are, we have those two earrings there. Then with these two, essentially what I did was the exact same thing. You can see it's the exact same pattern, except that what I did this time was I didn't use any silver on it, and also I used only the purple and the blue. There was no green. In this one, I used a slightly different pattern on the earrings, and I also only used the purple and the blue. So again, changing the colour of the mica powders can really make quite a difference. So now I'm going to bake this for a full hour at Polymer's recommended temperature so that they're nice and strong, because this is going to be the only bake. And then when they come out of the oven, we're going to just quickly clean up the edges. We might need to sand the back a touch, and then we can apply our resin, and you'll be able to see exactly what they look like. They'll look really quite pretty once they have the resin on. But for now, let me see if I can just direct the light around a little bit for you to see. There we go. So anyway, I'll go pop these into the oven. Okay, so now that these are out of the oven, we want to trim up their sides. So I've already done these, and I've just got one more to go. So you're just going to take an X-Acto knife or craft knife, and you're just going to run along the edges, and this is just going to get any little craggly bits that we couldn't get earlier. There should not be that much, and it should come off really easily, and this will save us having to do any sanding. There, all done. Okay, so now let's have a look at the back, see how it looks. I'm pretty happy with it. You could give it a light sand if you want, but it looks pretty much fine. So now we are ready to apply our resin to this. Okay, so I'm going to be using Lisa Pavelka's Magic Gloss, which is a UV resin. So you're going to need a UV light for it, but you can use a two-part resin such as ice resin if you have it available. And just about any UV resin will work. You're also going to need a silicone mat, which I have over here. And you're just going to take these and position them a fair way apart on the mat. Okay, and I actually want to swap these out. There we go. Because I want to cover those and show you. Okay, so now I'm just going to take this, and this should open up. There we go. And I'm just going to put a decent amount on here. And it's nice and cold at the moment, so it's not going to be running all over the place. So now you'll just take a skewer stick or anything you might have to just gently coax that resin across the surface. Now this resin, the Magic Gloss, it likes to dome quite a lot, so this is not enough resin. But I like to just take the resin and spread it out, and then see how much more I need to apply, because if I need to add more, it's very easy to do that. However, if I've added too much, it's very hard to take that away, and you end up with spills and you end up wasting resin for no reason, and you don't get a very good finished product in the end anyway. So I can see that this is pulling away from the sides, so I'll just take this, pour a bit more, spread that around again, give it a bit of time, see if it pulls away again, add a little bit more, and just continue doing that essentially until I find that it's not pulling away from the edges any longer. Okay, and I might want to add just a touch more because I can see that it's pulling away from the edges at the top. There we go, and that should be plenty. And you'll repeat that process with every single one of these. Then you'll put in the UV light for about half an hour so that it is rock hard cured, and then we can create our earrings. Okay, so here they are, all out of the UV light, and so you can see the difference between them here. So here, these two are done with the same colours, but you can see that the silver creates a much brighter effect, whereas just leaving it black leaves it quite a bit darker, but it has a completely different finish. And you can see that changing the colour backing will also give a very different effect. And so hopefully you can pick up on there the colour flash that you get from the mica powder, which is really nice. So when you wear that as an earring, it's going to flash around and be quite pretty. So now I want to just drill them. These ones I'm going to leave as they are, don't have to worry about them. And I'm just going to grab this, pop it at the top here, and just begin drilling. And the reason I leave the resin in the UV light, it generally will cure to the touch enough that you can touch it, pick it up and work with it a bit after around maybe about 10 minutes. But I leave it in for half an hour because that resin needs to be completely hard to the touch. You should not be able to make a single mark in it before you can use the pin drill, because the pin drill, if used on soft resin, will actually dome the resin slightly and it can cause it to lift up, and it just causes a lot of issues. So I prefer to leave the resin earrings inside of my UV lamp for longer, and this just makes sure that it's nice, strong and durable. And when I'm holding it like this, when I'm pressing on it with my fingers, it's not going to leave fingerprints because the resin is still soft enough to take impressions. Doesn't mean it's going to be soft for the entire time. I mean, it forms a weird film after probably about a minute in the UV light, and after about 10 minutes it's hard enough that you can pick it up, move it around and have a look at it, but it cures from the top down. So anyway, that was a little bit of a ramble, but there we are. You can see, very easy to draw those holes, nice and clean. Now I need to go and grab my ear wires so we can finish them off. Yep, so here are 2 ear wires. Yeah, I need 2 jump rings as well. And then I'm just going to take some pliers. I like these bent nose pliers rather than the flat nose, because they're bent out of the way and I just find that they're easier to work with. But the flat nose works well too. There we go. I'm going to grab this. And now you can either put another jump ring onto it that sits correctly. Let me just see if that's correct. No. So what I like to do is, instead of putting another jump ring on, because then it looks a little bit much, is I like to just grab this and twist this like so. And then I'll fit it on. And then that way I don't have to worry about putting on another jump ring, which generally just makes it a little bit too much metal for my liking. And there we go, you've got your jump ring and your ear wire sitting correctly. So now I'm just going to do that with the other one. There we go, all finished. Okay, so now it's not going to lie very nice on a tile because of the way the ear wires are orientated. They're supposed to sit on a stand with that fitting flat, like so. But there you go, you can see what those are going to look like. And here are our other ones. I'll probably finish them off a little later on. But there, it's a very simple, very easy technique. It creates a really beautiful result with the mica powders. Again, any mica powders will work. So long as you cover it with the resin, it's going to have this really nice effect. And if you cover it with the domed resin, it's going to have the best effect. If you don't cover it with domed resin and it's just rather flat resin, you're not going to have quite the same effect. Also, keep in mind I have used a star stencil, but you can use any stencil you want for this. You could even use a silk screen and maybe put some silver metallic paint over the top of the mica powder if you don't happen to have a stencil, so that's something that you could play around with. This is a very versatile technique. It's just supposed to be giving you an idea to play around with, so there's lots of different variations. Have fun, play around with different colours, different patterns, different shapes. You can even just make pendants if you want, but I think it looks really nice as earrings. So, if you enjoyed this tutorial, please do let me know in the comments below. And if you would like to support this channel so I can continue posting videos every single week, please do consider becoming a patron and joining my patron community. You get exclusive tutorials on there that are for patrons only. Some of them you can purchase on Etsy, but most of them are still on Patreon only. You also get an up to 20% discount on my Etsy shop for my tools such as my carters, texture stamps, mica powder, a bunch of other different things. So please do consider becoming a patron. That would be super helpful to me. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.